Díhuib, agus bhar 100 míle fáilte go Conamara a gunda na Gaeltacht. Is muid County Fhlatharta, agus tá muid teach an coppla óran agus tún chasachaí ban nómh. Hello, how are you all getting on? We're at County Fhlatharta, a pair of siblings from Conamara and County Galway. We're absolutely delighted to be part of this year's In-Bulk Festival, taking place virtually this year. We can't thank you all enough, all the team at In-Bulk, for inviting us and for going that extra mile to keep the festival alive this year. We specialise in the oldest form of Irish singing, called Sean-Nós singing, usually sung in the Irish language. And we're going to be playing a few of those songs for you today, as well as some better known English songs and a few tunes as well. Caoimhe might kick us off there with the first set and tell you all about it.
So we're going to start off with a song called The May Morning Dew, and we would have learned this in national school from the lovely Caoimhe. And this song, it has a very poignant story. The speaker in it explains how many of the people she would have grown up with, her neighbours, family and friends, have passed on, and she's left very lonesome without them. And you can really sense her longing to be back in the time of her life where she was surrounded by the love and familiarity of these people. And I suppose we put into the set because it's a very current topic these days with the pandemic, and with the lockdown and restrictions we don't get to see our loved ones as much as we would like to. So we thought it was a very fitting song for the gig today. So here it is, here's May Morning Dew.
How pleasant in winter to sit by the house, listening to the birds and the howls of a dove, or summer to to pluck the wildflowers in the May morning dew.
No summer is coming, oh, summer is here, with the leaves on the trees and the sky blue and clear, and the birds they are singing their fond notes so true, and the flowers they are springing in the May morning dew.
joy they will mingle in the May morning dew.
Sean-Nós singing was our first exposure to Irish music. We didn't know of instruments, we didn't know of accompaniment arrangements, stuff like that. We just knew a sole melody line in a story. I always heard the chords begging to come out of the melodies. I could hear them, and it was just a matter of having the get up and go to go and pursue that. We have two brothers at home that sing too, so we do some arrangement on 3-part and 4-part harmony. We have kind of become known for that, for the Sean-Nós singing, and we're very proud of that because it not only boasts our heritage, it boasts our language, and that's imperative for us is to show how current our language and our heritage can be, and to keep those stories and those people that are preserving these stories alive.
Our great uncles, Fhlatharta and Fhlatharta, they composed a lot of Sean-Nós songs, and we would still sing them. Our parents and our aunts and uncles, they all have the singing in them, and we're very fortunate to have the family to bring us up through the Sean-Nós tradition. We kind of just, someone will pick up the fiddle, someone will pick up the harp, and we'll all start playing together. And it's the same thing with the singing. If someone starts singing a song, even since we were younger, someone else will start singing a harmony. It kind of just happens naturally and organically.
Yeah, you'd go in to make a cup of tea, and all of a sudden there's a kind of a flash mob, glee club style thing going on. People doing 3-part harmonies, or then there's instruments picked up. Yeah, it's a good place to be, I suppose, to have a musical family at home.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Inis Thomas Guldan Chlorai let Steve Tune, O'Carolyn's Welcome, O'Connell's Welcome to Dublin, and The Crab in the Skillet. We're going to continue on now with 3 tunes, the first being an O'Carolyn tune. O'Carolyn, as we all know, was an amazing blind harpist, and he composed a lot of the repertoire that harpists would have in the current day. And we're going to follow that up with 2 jigs, O'Connell's Welcome to Dublin and The Crab in the Skillet.
the reason I chose the harp was just I liked the sound. There was no stigma for me with it being a woman's instrument. I know that that's generally kind of a stereotype. When I was starting off, that didn't even strike me. I heard Michael Rooney and Elsa Kelly at a feis, and the two of them were playing harp separately, 2 different occasions, but I was taken, that was the instrument for me. So no matter how much my mother persuaded me to be a box player, I stuck with the harp. And I suppose there was a bit of kind of slagging at the start. You do become disheartened, but it's part of life. You get through it, you get over it, you mature, and you realise that, as Caoimhe touched on earlier on, the harp was a symbol of Ireland, and O'Carolan has composed so many of the harpist repertoire. I was doing a service in a sense to keep this tradition alive. So as I've grown older, I've realised that, and I've become much more comfortable.
I myself play the fiddle, and I started lessons when I was about 4 years old, and I've been going to Liz Kane since then. She's an amazing teacher. She's taught me everything I know, and then also I go to different workshops. I would have a lot of different influences, so I don't think I have a certain regional style that I play in. Like, I don't play in an East Galway style or a Clare style. I kind of have a mixture from all sides of the country, and particularly I thoroughly enjoy Scottish fiddle playing. You're exposed to so much more these days, and you can look up American fiddle playing, Appalachian fiddle playing, anything you want, and you can kind of take inspiration from that sort of style. That's why I think in the past there was definitely a kind of a focus on regional fiddle playing styles, but I think that's kind of a thing of the past now, and I don't know if that's a positive or a negative.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I'll always remember our eldest brother, Conall. He's a flute player, brilliant musician. He toured for a while. He's stopped now, but this topic has come up so many times in the house where we're kind of debating whether regional style should be preserved, or is there a certain way that you should sing a song, or is there a certain way that you should be singing, Sean-Nós singing, you know? And we've always come up with the fact that if music didn't evolve and if we didn't adapt, we'd still be out in the garden banging 2 stones together and chanting, which, look, is still very much a current style of music. I think, look, let your music interests take you where you're going to go, and if it means coming back to your tradition, that's all and well. And if it means that you're going to go from singing Sean-Nós songs to singing heavy metal, so be it. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. So, although myself and Caoimhe were saying earlier on that we're very well versed in the Seamus tradition, we do like to draw from some more modern and contemporary influences. And this next one is just that. It's a song written by Joe Stafford, a very well-known singer worldwide. Caoimhe actually picked this one up from a version that was done by one of our favourite folk singers called Kate Rusby, one of the finest voices of Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. And Caoimhe came to me one day after arranging the song, and I just thought it was gorgeous, and it spoke to us in a different way, especially in the current climate. It tells of people who can't return home, and I know that Caoimhe tipped on it earlier on, that a lot of people, for say now Christmas time and different holidays, couldn't make it home this year due to the ongoing pandemic. We're very lucky that we get to still do what we love and spread music and tell stories through song, and that's exactly what we're here to do today. So this next one is one that's very special, arranged by Caoimhe, one called You Belong to Me.
See the pyramids along the Nile. Watch the sunrise from the tropic eye. Just remember, darling, all the while you belong to me. And see the marketplace in old Algiers. Send me photographs and souvenirs. Just remember till your dream appears. You we'd be so alone without you. Maybe you'd be lonesome too. And fly the ocean in a silver plane, and see the jungle when it's wet with rain. And just remember till you're home again, you belong to me. You belong to me. You belong to me.
I'm studying in the Irish World Academy in the University of Limerick, and I'm in the Irish music section of it. But we get to explore all different types of genres of music. There definitely is the equivalent of sean-nós in other countries, and we've been learning about a few different versions, I suppose, in our world music class. And it's crazy to think because we're so far apart physically, but their music definitely connects all cultures. And part of our studies are to compare and contrast different genres of music, and it's very interesting to see the links between all the different genres.
I found myself on the touring circuit, even in the likes of Canada, the USA, places like Cape Breton, Newfoundland. I was lucky enough to tour there with the Colts tour when I was about 16, 17, and I found that songs that they would have, traditional English songs, sung unaccompanied, they would share similar, if not the exact same story to songs we would have grown up with and stories that we would have grown up with. So it's obvious that these stories were taken with people across the sea when they emigrated, and that in that sense, I suppose, the sean-nós tradition is remaining live, although evolving in other settings and in other environments. And it was just a really, really interesting thing to see and to make the connection between some of the stories that I would have had as a child and someone growing up the other side of the Atlantic would have had the same story growing up. And in that sense, to see the different forms of sean-nós, I suppose, in different countries is very interesting.
We're going to continue on now with a sean-nós song this time called Ban Fáidín, or Fáidín's Wife. And this song is about a woman who's lusting after a man who's already married. And in the song she describes how happy she'd be if she were to be Fáidín's wife. But then she goes on to say all the things she'd do to get rid of Fáidín's current wife. So it's fairly controversial, but we would have learned the song in national school in junior and senior infants, and we thought because it was one of the first songs we ever learned, we'd put our own spin on it and had a bit of bodhrán and fiddle accompaniment and a few counter melodies and harmonies and all the rest. So here's Ban Fáidín.
Myself and Caoimhe have been very fortunate to be surrounded just by the finest of ambassadors of Irish music, promoters of Irish music and stuff like that. So we've been given just the most unreal opportunities till now. Just before the pandemic hit, I was in the United States with Riverdance performing in Radio City. And although it was cut short, we did get to perform there for 2 or 3 nights, and it was just one of the most phenomenal experiences of my life, being up with a production like that. Bill Whelan, the composer, has been an absolutely brilliant guide for me navigating through the world of music and the touring scene. We would have met him when I'd say you were about 7 or I was about 12, and he lives only over the road from us in Conamara in Roundstone. And we always knew the name. Our mother was a big fan of Riverdance, and just by chance we got to record with him as part of a project with some youth choirs. And just since then he's been an absolutely fantastic, kind of a mentor, I suppose, for me, giving me brilliant opportunities to travel, giving me an insight into what it takes to really kind of stay true to the music as well as being innovative. And you've had some experience yourself with me as well, with other voices and stuff like that.
Yeah, just recently, and it was such an amazing experience for us. I grew up always watching the show and watching the YouTube clips of different artists, and some of our favourite artists have been part of that show before, like Hosey or The Academic, some of my favourite artists, and I was so honoured to be on the show last December. As performers, there's definitely negative and positive impacts from the lockdown and the COVID restrictions and all. We've definitely had more time at home to be practicing and kind of tapping into our creative sides. One thing I know I miss anyways is the live audiences and the kind of the feedback from playing on stage and kind of seeing people's reactions. But then again, we're lucky this happened in the modern day because we have the ability to put these shows online. So we're still getting to play for people and put out our stuff for people to see and hear. And although it's not the same as having a live audience, it's definitely an improvement had this happened a few years ago.
Yeah, and it's strange because in a sense, even though we were performing on live stages all the time, COVID has given us a unique opportunity to be put on a radar on a bigger scale. So we were lucky enough to be part of the Flat 2020 program last year, which kind of catapulted us into the performing world even more, and we've got loads of opportunity out of it. So as strange as it sounds, we kind of owe a lot to the pandemic and the lockdown in the sense that we got to perform on some really interesting virtual performances like the Fla and other voices. Now, of course, In Bulk have invited us, something that we've just been dying to even attend since we were young people. So to be involved this year is absolutely unreal, and in a way we do owe that to the lockdown and to COVID-19. So there are some negatives and positives, but we definitely try to focus on the positives. Well, both myself and Caoimhe come from a very well-known seafaring family in the village of An Áird Mhóir. So a lot of our time was spent on the sea when we weren't playing music, whether it was kayaking, sailing or swimming, whatever. We found that it was a great place to be during the lockdowns. We still go down when we can. So we decided to put a bit of a set together to reflect that. This one's called Out in the Ocean. It features 3 tunes. The first is called Out in the Ocean. The second is one called The Red-Haired Lass, and the third is one that Caoimhe brought to the table called Malcolm Finlay's. Bit of an instrumental set for you. We hope you enjoy it.
music is our life, basically. Our world revolves around music. If it's not competitions we're playing, it's gigs or it's sessions at home. We just love music so much, and we used to be a part of, and are still a part of, a group of cheoil here in Clifton. We've met loads of friends through the flas and the feshes and the different gigs and sessions. And I wouldn't have a lot of my friends that I currently have today without music. I've heard a few musicians say this and they'd agree with me. You could just go into the room, play a few tunes, and you'd almost feel like a different person when you come out. That's definitely one reason why it's extremely important to me anyways.
It's a huge part of our identity. Like, being Irish to me is not just one thing. It's not being able to speak the language. It's not living in the country. It's not being born in the country. It's not playing Gaelic football. It's not playing traditional music. It's all these different aspects are branches of the same tree, and it doesn't really matter which branch you grow out of or that you land on. It's all part of our identity. So, like the language, music is integral to our life in that sense. And I suppose by sharing the stories and by playing the tunes, we're adding our little drop of water to the tree and ensuring it stays alive.
Well, Tamutsaki Chaig did it in Setinish. We've come to the end of our set now, and we'd just like to say a huge thank you to everyone at Impoke for inviting us to be a part of this year's festival. We've heard amazing things over the years about this festival, and it's an absolute honour to be a part of it this year. We'd also like to thank the crew here for making us sound and look good. I know Séamus didn't give them much to work with, but I'm sure they'll do a job on them anyways. So we're going to finish up with a song now, and Séamus is going to tell you a bit about it.
Yeah, and we're going to finish up with one more song. I know at the start we spoke about our Sean-Nós tradition. We've done one for you, and we decided to put in another. Irish is our first language, and it's very influential to our music and our everyday life. So it's one we're very proud to share all the time. This one's called Eleanor in the Rune, and we put this together as a kind of an experiment last year. We typically sing these songs unaccompanied on our own, but we just felt like these melodies have some chordal progressions just begging to be exposed. A lot of the Sean-Nós songs have the most beautiful melodies you'd ever come across. So this one was one of our favourites. It's one I got from the very well-known singer Joe Heaney, or Joe Ainu, from the Iorras Aithnigh region. One called Eleanor in the Rune. Thanks again from myself and Caoimhe, and hopefully we'll see you in a live setting sometime soon. Take care and all the best.
Makes me new, draw me mem one more until do say
See boy gumalo she the sweet boy, gheall ceoil she on carfar on Mars. Sweet boy, like it love and she grabberry smoky every just oh to say she's me chip